So let's dive into the past, shall we? After Sean's art along moment.
Okay. There's a lot of versions of this, and I'm not proud of this one the most, but it is the one that I can show. This is Jar next to a 6-foot ruler. You can clearly see she's a little taller. I would estimate about 6'2". A very long neck, suitable for swimming.
Everyone knows those swimmers got long necks.
Absolutely.
I'll show you what I did the first time. Because I really wanted to lean into the swimmer's pond.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that was a bit perverse for like a 9-year-old girl. So I went for someone less Chris Hemsworth shaped. But I don't know. Now I'm kind of liking this one again.
I like that she's got like 6 hairs.
That's if Jar becomes a barbarian rather than a...
We love a Jarbarian.
A Jarbarian. Okay, so last time we talked about lore, it was the Elemental Chaos arc, parts 1 to 4. If you haven't seen parts 1 to 4, stick around here for part 5, but then catch 1 to 4 either at on History and Lore here on Twitch or in our History and Lore section on YouTube. And so we managed to navigate the self-destructing Great Factory of Shinkik, discovering an underground ancient Caraxian workshop that Nissa Timbers had been using, and we watched her leave in a war mech, rising up out of the ground and marching towards Faway Tavar. Kokenee prays to Arathis for the first time, with Neppy's help, and the two of them share another moment early on in their path towards being together, even though that wasn't really a thing at that point. We then follow towards Faway Tavar in the wake of the mech, and interrupt Nissa's execution at the hands of Zakis of Saral, who is the headmaster of the Thexan Academy and the leader of the beings prophesied to release the primordial titans and their chaos into the world. And with Neva and Kamea's help, we find shelter in a safe house, and that is where we left off. So,
nice.
I mean, I had high hopes for 3 episodes, but
speed run, because we have talked about Jar before, so I know more or less. I know it's in like. Do we want to spoiler alert? Because I can just roll through how fucking Jar happened.
We did Jar with Len.
We did a bit of that, yes, but we do have
but
one
this
episode.
This is where it all
got a little bit
together.
before that, so that's episode. So we're going to start with session 16, which is no safety between safe houses on March 3rd of 2019.
Let me know when you get to Jar, because I'll hop in.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I'll hop in right now. So you discovered this abandoned Olympic-sized swimming pool, and there was this individual. They looked tall, maybe about 6'2", just pounding laps.
So we're in a safe house in Faway Tavar with Neva, and Kamea has joined us. And so Torin and Kokenee had just returned from essentially beating the shit out of a bunch of guards and like trying to throw off the scent to where we were. So Matt, did you want to start or do you want me to?
Take it away.
Okay, so Neva and Kamea discuss our plans in the safe house. Kamea has our other sending stone, so we give one sending stone to her, and we keep one with us. And she's set to travel with the convoy. So there was a convoy that was heading with the body of Mergen Riza, the general who had been assassinated, that Zakis had tried to pin on Nissa. So they're heading back to take Mergen Riza's body back to Wolfreen. So Kamea is supposed to head with that convoy, and Zakis is supposed to head on that convoy as well. We hold in the safe house for a time, and then we pop off because we're like, we can't stay here very long. We have to try and like intercept this convoy, or we have to do something, because we still have to like try and figure out a way to get out of the city. So we leave the safe house, and Torn and Kokenee again go around and are just fucking wrecking guards. There's just like pinball they're just ping, 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 ping. They're down all over the place, and we make it to an alcove with Kokenee staying back with Neppy while Torn drives away the guards, and then he goes off on a run. We end up moving to another safe house. We meet the father of one of our very, very early traveling companions, Arveldis, who was the sorcerer that we traveled with in the very first couple episodes. We meet his dad, Arvendis.
Cool.
He says, "Oh, like you look like the folks my son was traveling with. Where is my son?" And we're like, "Oh, well, he's not with us. He's gone to the Feywild." And he's like, "Oh, come in my house. Come in my house. Like the town is a wreck right now. Please come in." So we managed to hunker down in there. Yana is still not with us. Yana is out with Nissa at this point. So it's Kokenee, Neppy, Torin, and Callie is not back with us at this point. So it's just the 3 of us in the safe house. Torin doubles back. They hold up there for the night. Kokenee essentially keeps his gun trained on the door for the whole evening, and they just switch up watches to make sure nobody comes inside. Meanwhile, Spooky heads back out into the streets to try and blend in and make it back towards the safe house that we're in. We give her directions to get there, but she gets captured and starts being taken to the city square by an elf with a skullet. Just like an elf, like a gross elf dude who just started, was part of the guard and just started dragging her back towards the city square. But she runs into Kern Burnman.
Hell
And
yeah.
Kern Burnman is like, I will take over her transport. Thank you. I have it from here. And so he takes her towards the inner circle of the city, near the Thexan Academy, and drags her up into an office for questioning. And he throws the guards off the scent. Mira and the King Evard's daughter is there with him. So once they get Spooky safe, they send to Neva, and Neva makes her way to the Oak and Acorn Tavern, which is where Nissa is held up. And Nissa start to make their way through the city. They pass the Goliath woman with the stone necklace, who is one of Zacchus's, the other four. And Nissa is disguised, and they manage to sneak past. And they rendezvous with Kern and Yana at the ambassador's residence. So now, in that residence, we have Kern, Mira, Yana, and Nissa and Neva. So those folks are there, and we are kind of in the safe house on the other side of town. Kern takes his leave to keep from drawing notice. Kamea joins them in secret for diplomatic reasons, and then they actually use a scroll of Zone of Truth on Nissa to get out of her what happened and why she attacked Fawe Tavar with the mech. So Nissa talks about everything that has happened with everything she's found, the vision she's had with Arathis. She talks about how Zacchus needs to be stopped and that the four of them are going to bring the end of days. And Kamea is wrecked by this. She's like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. You didn't kill Mergen Riza, who did? And Nissa's like, I'm pretty sure it was Zacchus. I'm pretty sure he's taking out the heads of Wolfrane one by one to try and, go forward with his plan. So Kamea is like, okay, well, Zacchus is going to be traveling with a convoy. At least I'll have an eye on him. The Goliath woman's name is Kiva Flinthand. So she's going to be traveling with this convoy. And then the elven pair that are traveling with them, the brother and sister named Kanan and Dara. And Zacchus has plans to go talk with Queen Thealia in Wolfrane to say all of the stuff that's happened and try and position himself as a very prominent person. Kamea fears that the queen's life may be in danger. If he's picking off people who are important in Wolfrane, he could go after the queen and try and take over Wolfrane as well. So we figure out all of their whereabouts via sending, and Neva comes to meet us and wants us to get us back to the sewer. So Neva's going to take us to the sewer, then she's going to double back to the Thexan and go with Yana, because Yana wants to snoop around the Thexan Academy while Zacchus isn't there. He's not in the city, so Yana's like, I can do this. I am the wizard with the party. I'll be able to blend in and I'll be able to get my way through it. So Neva's like, okay, I'll take you back. So Neva is saving our butts at this point. She's ferrying us around the city. And that is the end of that session. So that's the speed run of session 16. Now, because I know we wanted to talk about Jar, so I'm speed running through that. So now, session 17, The Girl in the Sewers. Did we play back-to-back those days? Oh no, we played a week apart. So this is when we first started playing a week apart. So this is March 10th, 2019. Matt, take it away. Go.
Okay, so we see Neppy, Torn, and Kokenee meet up with Neva at Avendus's house.
Yeah.
Arvendus. As she guides us towards the sewer, returning a sending stone to us so that we can continue to communicate with Yana, and then she doubles back to get Yana and Nissa out of the city. We enter the sewers, we travel for a little bit, and suddenly hear a rumble from above as Callie drops into the sewers.
Hey!
Yeah, so Lennon had taken a break for a couple sessions and then was finally able to come back. So, and they had meant Callie had basically been popped to the Feywilds for reasons unknown as of this point. But then when Lennon came back, it made sense that Callie had been tracking us for the whole time, and she popped back in. Yeah, and we're very overjoyed, happy to see her.
We're so happy to see her.
So
it's
happy.
Great.
We're our paladin's back.
We continue through the sewers fighting. So happy. Oh, yes.
It was so nice.
Fighting our way through traps and a large gelatinous ooze down
Yeah.
a tunnel, Torin finds a small elven child who is heavily scarred across her face and has sustained some acid burn damage.
Let me fucking flex
Waiting.
on what I remember from talking to Lennon.
Flex.
You didn't just find an elven child. You didn't just find an elven child. You found bad traps first.
Yes,
you
we
found
did.
poorly constructed traps, the kind a child would.
Tiny little
Fucking
traps.
Torin follows his nose. And he's like, I smell child, and I am apparently paternal now. And he like discovered a bond with this child and his own lost family. And yes, you're right, Matt. She was covered in acidy scars.
Yeah.
And the party's like, who did this to you, little girl? And she said, the stinky man. The stinky man is the one what did it, right? Or bad guy around the stinky man?
No.
There's a stinky man. I know.
There
No,
is,
okay.
yes.
That is the extent of my knowledge.
So
bad traps in a child.
Jar had been we figure out a little bit later. I'll just say now. So Jar had been down the service. She's the important thing about Jar is that she's high elven, which are considered the lower born race of elves in the city. Wood elves are the higher born folks, and high elves are the lower born folks in the city. So she is covered in acid burns about half of her face and down onto her shoulder. And she's been left there, and her only possession is a silver ring that has got little leaves on it, that unlike the rest of her is totally clean. She doesn't know how long she's been down there, and she talks about how she's waiting for her parents. And she's just like created a little home, like a little hovel for herself in the sewer. And you're right, she does talk about the smelly man, who is big and mean. She also talks about the sleeping man, who is also in the tunnels. And we like hide her for safety, and we say we'll go investigate and come back to find her. And Torin and Neppy and Callie are instantly like, this is a child. We must protect this child right now. Because Torin had a daughter her age. We estimate that she's about 7 or 9.
I say Torin, Neppy, and Callie. Kokenee was because I was about to say Kokenee could take or leave it, but we do know that Kokenee has some kind of a complicated relationship with children that we haven't explored. So I imagine that was just you role playing, but I imagine that also saves it for the table because we don't actually know too much about that. And I love that at the table. Yana was take it or leave it then?
No, Yana was also very taken with her, but there was like
she was off investigating.
But Yana wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's off investigating the.
Then you're all very good people, except for one of you has a complicated relationship with children, which I'm excited to learn about at the table.
Yes. Okay, go, Matt, go. Oh, is he on a delay? No, there
yes, so we... Yeah, I'm here. We travel further through the tunnels and we fight the rot troll, who we find out to be is the smelly one, who has made a gross hovel in the tunnel. There's also a severed hand that was forcing us to make wisdom saves, and a translucent gross ooze. We get rid of all of them. So we go back and get Jar, and travel further into the sewers. What do we think we find next, Sean?
Ooh, I don't know what happens after Jar. What do you
Just
find?
Because you feel confident.
No, I felt
you can get
really
in on this too
confident
if Sean
about
doesn't
the
actually
smelly
know.
man business.
What did you guys find after Jar?
So we do know that there is the sleeping man.
Oh yeah, he's a dead guy.
Oh, we haven't discovered the sleeping man yet? Yeah, dead guy.
In like a hovel or something? In like
dead,
a little
not sleeping.
Little place, like he looks like he's sleeping, like he's laying down on a bed.
But the exciting thing is not that the man is dead, but what the dead man has on his person. And do you know what that is, Em?
Of course I do.
Good, why don't you tell us so that we're all on the same page?
Hold on, let me guess. It was... I don't know. A key?
No. Matt, do you want to keep going or do you want me to jump in?
I got this. So as we approach through the sewers, we stumble upon a bunch of jail cells. And we find the sleeping man inside one of them.
And yes, he is dead.
Nice.
He is dead, and he is wearing robes that look like they're from about the same time period as Torin. Very old robes. I know.
So old.
So old. There's also upon them a symbol of. You want to
Arathis.
guess?
Rathis.
Worse.
Bad God.
Bad God, Vecna. But
Got
Other
Vecna
bad
on the
one.
braid.
the other bad one, there's so many bad ones. I don't know who's relevant to
Shane
this thing.
DeBlay. He's not a
Yes.
god.
Oh, Shanna
James
Bevlin.
There's Dune.
There's
But we didn't
Dune.
know that at the time. We didn't roll high enough to figure out what that was.
What the symbol is.
And Torrin says that he recognizes it, but he can't quite put his finger on it. So we make our way out of the sewers and make a little camp in the woods. We talk to Jar a touch more, and Neppy looks at her wounds, which are healed, but it's acid damage.
Yeah.
She talks about how she was curious about the magic school, and that she had snuck inside. That Jar had snuck inside of the magic school. We figure out that Zacchus caught her and then used her as an example in front of magic class to teach the spell Acid Splash.
Oof.
Once her parents found out, they feared retaliation for what she had done and abandoned her in the sewers, promising Jar that they were going to look after her and that she was safe and to await the arrival of the other group.
So her parents just left her there. And we were just like,
But her
Game-
parents said they would come back.
no, they didn't. They said to wait
No.
for her, wait for them. And they never came back.
What if
Team,
they
you know
got
what's
captured?
coming down the pipe like 10 years from now when Jar's like 19 years old? She's gonna want to track down
I know.
her like abandoning parents. Oh, that's gonna be
But
so
listen,
bad.
they might not have abandoned her. They might have hidden her, and they might have been caught. Or there's nothing to say that they didn't come back because they didn't want to. They might not have been able to.
Either way, that little girl's got some issues with that are probably gonna need to be resolved when she is like able to do so.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the type of questions that Jar is gonna be asking herself when she comes to adulthood. Oh, that's heavy.
Yeah. So they like this.
This will be 19 years later,
Yeah. This poor.
or not
sweet
19,
little
like
girl
15 years later.
just left in
So
the
we'll for sure be
sewers.
like level like 16 by that point. So-
And like,
It's my favorite joke.
and like when we all like, when Tim shared that as Jar talking about, like, because Jar was telling us that she went into the Magic Academy, and Jar told us that they'd put her in front of the class, and that she had like, it hurt, and she had like something hit her and splashed on her, and it hurt. Like there was 4 of us who were just like in tears in my living room, like seething with rage and anger at a person who doesn't exist, Zacchus. We were all so mad. And we were just like, and then I think Lennon looked at me and I don't know if it was Lennon saying to Emma or Callie saying to Neppy, was like, we're going to take care of her, right? And I was like, yeah. Oh yeah. Like we're taking her with us. Absolutely. We're not leaving her here. So yeah, we like get Jar out of the city and we just like, there's some stuff that happens with her in a little bit, but if we can that's 2 sessions. That's 2 sessions done. We just did 2
You
sessions.
done?
We
of
did.
lore.
Great. All right.
Now we
Come
can
back
derail away. No,
Wednesday.
We
We've
got one more.
got
We can
behind the
squish in one more.
screen.
We can
Come
squish
back.
in one more. We can squish in one more. This one's really important. It's one
There's
more.
been Chatwater. Matt, I guess we'll have to get you back for next week.
Please,
Oh my gosh, do I have to come back another time?
can we
I
do
guess
3,
you're gonna have
please?
to.
No, fuck it. We're doing 3. Okay, so we're gonna cut to session 18, which is called "Taking Flight," which is on March 17th, 2019. So all of this stuff had happened with the rest of the party, but now we need to get Yana out. Yana's still in the city with Nissa, and we need both of them out. So we cut back to Yana and Nissa in the like ambassador's quarters. And she's explaining the end of her visions to Kamea, and she talks about her final vision, which was a dark, unbelievably huge being rising from a crack in the earth with a creature flying over it. Talks about a dragonborn with 2 curved blades and a blue-skinned figure with a trident. And we're like, oh shit, we've seen a blue-skinned figure with a trident. We're like, fuck, we've seen one of these 4. These are the rest of the 4. So we know that the figure flying overhead is likely Zacchus. We're assuming Kiva is also part of it, the Goliath. We know there's a dragonborn, and we know there's this blue figure. who we're assuming was the Triton that we're looking
We
for.
got Doomwing. That's her name. Doomwing.
Yes. We will tell
Banana Doomwing. Yeah.
Doomwing. We will get there. So there's a knock at the door, and at this point, Yana and Nissa hide, and it's Kiva Flinthand. It's the Goliath at the door.
Ooh.
So she updates Kamea that the convoy will be leaving the next morning at first light. And she also updates Kamea that Zakis is actually not going to be traveling with the convoy anymore. Because of what happened in the square, he didn't deem it safe for him to be traveling because he thinks he's too important. So he is going to actually travel via teleportation circuit to Wilfreen, which is within the Thexan Academy. So he's like, I'm not going to travel by the convoy. I'm going to take this teleportation circle. Kamea then rolls high enough. You know, Kiva's kind of like trying to get a sense on her. I guess Kamea is like, whether that's through insight or Kamea being deceptive. Kiva leaves with no suspicion drawn. Kern and Mira then come back to the room, as they'll also be leaving via teleportation circle as well for Svelen. They're heading to Svelen from Vawi Tavar to head home. So they concoct a plan together. The plan is for Yana and Nissa and Neva to sneak through the Thexan Academy and to figure out what's going on in there that Zakis has been hiding, and then rendezvous with the group as we exit the sewers, because we know that there's an exit for the sewers right behind the Thexan Academy, and if they can get up and out, they figure that's probably the best way to go. And Yana's like, Nissa and Yana are like, we can polymorph and fly off the building once we get up to the top. So that's the plan at this point. And Kamea says, okay, I will accompany Kern and Mira to the teleportation circle to see them off, to keep up the ruse that everything is going as planned. Yana and Nissa and Neva then make a break for it through the Thexan. So we've got Group 1 and Group 2. So Group 1, Kamea, Kern, Mira. Group 2, Neva, Nissa, Yana. So we'll start with Group 1. Group 1 heads out, with Group 2 tailing behind, invisible, thanks to Nissa. And we follow Group 1 to the Thexan Academy, and we see Zakis near the teleportation circle in the lower chamber of the Academy. Kern and Mira greet Zakis, and he seems really, really excited to send them back home. Like, really excited to send them back to Svelen. So, Kern and Mira, with no magical abilities of their own, stand on the sigil, and Zakis invokes teleportation circle magic. So Nissa, Yana, and Neva are watching this, invisible. What do you think they see?
Oh, I know this one because I know where this goes. He doesn't do teleportation magic. He does plane shifting magic. He sends them to the Scar, don't he?
Yes, he do.
Oh, beans.
No one wants to go to the Scar.
So
I do.
That's why you wanted to leave so bad.
Nissa notices that something is immediately not right, but is unsure of what's wrong. So Kamea's watching, and she obviously can't, she knows that they're there, but can't say that they're behind her. So she also sees Zakis as very, very excited. She thanks Zakis and she takes her leave, with Group 2 watching Zakis as he steps aboard the sigil to teleport himself to Wolfreen. He says, now that those two are disposed of, and then he's gone. So he, had sent Kern and Mira to the plane of Earth with plane shift and not back to Svelen. He had just sent them there to get them out of the way as well, because they knew too much. Because he's a bad dude. So the group 2 that are there, Nissa, Neva, Yana, can't reveal themselves as there's guards around. So they sneak into another room, down some stairs, and it seems to be a torture chamber. Nissa recognizes it. It's the same one that she was in when she was tortured by Zakis. Because Zakis tried to extract information from her and she didn't give any. She's overcome and throws up. And loses concentration on the invisibility. Thankfully, there are no guards in the room. However, there is someone in the room. Who do you think it is?
Fun new character. Or here, give me this. Fun new character or surprising reemergence of a beloved older character.
Fun new character.
Fun new character.
And I'll put it this way. It was a PC. Not an NPC.
Player character in the room. Because
let
me check them out.
Tim's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. It's G!
Yes. Yes, so Chi is strapped to the table. She's also an eagle Aarakocra, female wearing different robes and bearing a symbol that we'd seen before, the air primordial, whose name is...
Oh God, I know this one. Look, Garrix is
Come on,
the fire
Shane.
primordial.
Yep.
That's the big one.
Yep.
Yep. Got the stone wolf.
I just hate the fact that chat has already put it in there like 6 times.
Here's the thing.
Um,
I know it sounds like Evasian, but that is from Magic the Gathering, and it is a different thing entirely.
It starts with an A.
Yeah. Grande.
Ariana Grande.
You know,
It's
final
Aarakocra.
answer. Final answer. Aarakocra Grande.
Akadi.
That is my next bard. Aarakocra Grande for sure.
Oh my God, it's Akadi.
Akadi.
Yes. So
Jesus.
they speak to her, and her name is Chi. She's a cleric of Akadi, and Zacchus was trying to siphon her power, so he could strengthen his connection to the air magic. Chi believes Zacchus is incredibly dangerous, and that he's trying to harness all of the elements for destruction. She believes that
Could you tell me the thing one more time? I know you said the name of the thing.
Akadi.
But
Akadi.
Akadi. All I could think was Aarakocra Grande. Sorry. It's Akadi. It's Akadi. It's Akadi. It's Akadi. Sorry, I'm just tee out.
Yeah.
Yanis, we've been asked a number, because Groombar is the earth one. I forget the water one, but that's what's important. But like Istitia. But right. But the air one we've been talked enough. We need to come up with a fun mnemonic device to remember, like Akadi, they so naughty. That's actually not bad.
Yeah, but
like,
it
how
doesn't
are
have
we gonna
anything to
remember
do
this
with
in the
air
future?
elemental.
Well, maybe because she's like stinky air. Maybe she's like a naughty fart. I don't know. Look, this is what I'm saying. We got to do this back and forth. If we can't remember this, that's on us. We're bad.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Give me something that rhymes with Akadi. That's gonna associate it. Air elemental. Akadi, Dugatti. Driving with the top down. Akadi, Dugatti.
Feel the wind in your
Akadi,
hair.
Dugatti. Driving with the top down. We got there. All right.
Great. Well done. So they free her from the
Akadi
bondage.
Bugatti, driving with the top down, feel the wind in your hair.
Yeah. Feel the wind in your hair.
And what is Akadi's iconography?
Bugatti?
Like what?
Bugatti, it's the car.
What is
Oh,
she?
what's a Ducati? Am I making
Ducati
things
is a
up?
motorcycle.
Yeah.
Whoa, I know about as much about cars as I do our gods.
So what type of do you have a sense of what type of creature, like, or Akadi is often like the iconography is?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be like a really fast car, top down, wind in your hair. Akadi, Bugatti.
You're combining Ducati and Bugatti.
Really,
become
the ultimate
Bugatti.
vehicle,
Okay,
if
we're
you think
moving
about
on.
it.
Akadi is a winged serpent.
Yeah.
Akadi is the winged serpent.
Like
Okay.
700 horsepower. Fucking rip that down the Autobahn. Feel the
So
wind in your hair. Akadi, Bugatti.
they bring Chi in on the plan to
Akadi
potentially.
Bugatti, the Viper that can fly.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, that's helpful. Now I know
That
it's
is
a winged
helpful.
serpent. Akadi,
Now it's a
Bugatti.
snake and it can fly, so it's air.
I've
Viper
taken
that
off
can
my
fly.
blazer. The wheels are coming off.
Oh, we doing it? Okay.
Tarps off, boys. Tarps off.
Welcome to fucking Chatwater After Hours. The tarps come off and the theories get wild.
Okay, we're almost done.
No, let's
So-
make up a word for every letter of Akadi.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have
Let's
time.
really break it down.
We for
Please
You know,
sure
let
I
me-
always forget the
Air
the water
Cobra,
one too.
Air Cobra,
Wait, no.
AC.
We got
Is it
Akadi-
AC or AK?
Akadi Bugatti,
Ah,
Akadi
God
Bugatti, the Viper
Cobra
of
with
the
a K.
sky. But who's the water one? I always forget the water
Yeah, we gotta-
Istitia.
Istitia. Gotta miss ya. We don't like, because I don't like being wet. I gotta miss you with Istitia.
Istitia.
Istitia. I got is gotta miss you. Matt, you can get involved in this
Yeah,
too.
okay,
I
come on.
think the more of us
Istitia.
who get on board with this train, the worse it'll be.
I mean, I'm always gonna remember Akadi Bugatti, the Flying Viper.
You're right. Let's cut our losses.
No. We need
Okay.
to do at least the elementals.
Istitia.
At least the
Istitia.
elementals.
Only 4.
Istitia.
We've done
This
one.
is a project you need to do on your own time and then
Istitia,
come back and share it with me.
I stitch you because she's she's wet and wild. Yeah, because she's a water elemental. She's wild because she'll like stitch like Esticia gets stitches.
No.
Ooh.
Esticia.
Esticia.
Yes, Matt.
Need a Tisha.
Because
you're wet. But
'Cause
Matt
you're wet,
hasn't
'cause
said
you're crying.
anything, and I'm thrilled about it.
So good.
What was yours,
Esticia,
Matt?
in a dish, yeah.
I like Esticia need a
It's in a
tissue.
dish, yeah.
It's Esticia need a tissue.
I do too. I
'Cause of
felt
your
good
wet
about
and
mine, and
wild
then
nose.
Yana said his, and I felt
Yeah.
worse about mine.
I appreciate the attempt. Esticia
Okay.
need a tissue. Yeah. 'Cause you're
Akati
so wet.
Bugatti, Viper with the
Akati
wings.
Bugatti, Viper of the Winds.
Yep.
Garrick's, we
we-
don't forget because it's a great name. Garrick, because it's in my wait.
Yeah.
Garrick's Flarix, because he's fired. Done.
Yeah,
Oh,
because he's fired.
easy.
Martin
Broom
Garrix.
bar, get in my car. It's a
If-
Bugatti.
if
No,
you,
we can't. We
if you-
can't do two cars.
If you ever get these wrong again, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I like Groom bar, get in my
Groombar?
car.
Groom bar, the arm bar.
No, Groom bar, get in my car.
No, we can't
The
have two
Bugatti of the
cars.
Wind.
Can I please finish the session? Please. Please let me finish this. Please let me out of this. I hate
Groom
this
bar.
so much.
No, we found it. It's
Groom bar,
Groom bar, get in my
get in
car.
my car.
Bugatti of the Wind.
Fuck's sake. You know, I came here to have
Okay,
a nice time.
hold on.
and
Now I'm
then-
gonna hold on. Now I'm gonna try and repeat them back without the mnemonics. I'll do the
Thank you so
mnemonic
much.
part in my head.
Yeah. Wind one. Who's the wind one?
Air.
Akati,
Thank you.
Yep. Water one.
Esticia,
Why?
because you need a Tisha.
That's right. Fire.
Fire is well, I see you've
Yeah, we haven't come up with a
'Cause
good
it-
one.
no,
All
no,
right,
it's
and we got
Martin-
one more.
Martin Garrix.
Who's Martin Garrix?
It's kind of like, isn't there a DJ?
All I think is Lou Garrix, but I don't think we want to go down that road.
think.
Okay, you have one more, and then we are moving on.
and Goombar get in my car.
Ooh, Garrix. Garrix, check this sick chair. It's part of my car. It's a Bugatti. It's adjustable.
Okay, so they free cheat by getting it
Four
back on board.
wheels, onto
Continuing
my
with
two
the
Is
chairs.
there a way we can work Vin Diesel into this somehow?
Yeah. Garrix is
Do you know how
friends
easy
with
it would
Vin
be to me
Diesel.
for me to
Get in my
remove your
car.
visuals and your audio and just continue talking myself?
Then it would just be you screaming into the void instead of having such fun times with your.
Yeah, imagine how much fun you would be having if you joined us.
Someone has
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep this track on board.
We
Come
need,
in here.
look, we have
Come-
nothing
the
good
water's
for Garrix
fine.
except for Garrick's my chair. It's attached to four
You
No,
can
wheels.
just
what-
It's a
there's-
Ducati.
remember
there's
It's my
his
car.
name.
There's a DJ.
Play in
Name-
the space with us, Emma. Please.
Yeah. Emma,
No.
come play in the space.
Come
No.
play in the
Come
space.
for Garrix.
Come play in the space with a Garrix.
Come
Just
to
one.
Garrix. Garrett,
Um,
my chair. It's attached to four wheels.
that's
It's a
all I can
Bugatti.
think of. Shut up, shut up. No, I can't have because Garrick's my chair. It's just in my head.
Garrix,
Garrix. Yeah.
Garrix, please don't starix at my Bugatti, because that's what I'm like.
Garrix, let's share it. Let's share a ride in my Bugatti, the Viper of the Wind.
Okay, I am now moving on. I am done. I am moving on now. So they free cheat.
Ooh,
Sean,
Garrick's
please.
hair is in the wind because I drive with the top down. Garrick's hair is in the wind.
No,
Top
but
down.
that doesn't
Doesn't
rhyme.
I
rhyme.
would like to do something else with my evening at some point, please.
Then you shouldn't have agreed to
Then you
being
should
a part of
you
this.
should help us
Yeah,
come
yeah,
up
yeah.
with a better
Because we
Garrix
can't
rhyme.
move on until we find the Garrix. Akati Bugatti. Esticia need a tissue.
Garrick's has to do
Groom
with
bar,
fire.
get in my
He's
car.
a fire dragon.
No, we need a fire one.
Good.
He's a
Then what's the
two-headed
fire?
fire dragon.
Yeah.
Garrix. Dragon.
Garrix. Garrix two larynx. Voice like fire.
Boom.
Great,
Garrix
fantastic.
two larynx.
Now we can
Garrick's
move on.
two
Thank you
larynx.
so much, Yanis. Okay,
These
so they
brakes are screaming. Need to change my Bugatti.
I hate this so much. Okay, so they
Garrix two
I'm just-
larynx. Not bad.
I'm just proud of that Sean's saying Bugatti instead of Bugatti. Like we've taught him about both a car and a
we're
motorcycle.
so late. What happens next? What are you
But
doing? We have a
keep on.
schedule to keep.
She'd switch off her video, but then it would mess up the order, and that's the only reason she's still here.
So they free Chi, and they make a
Oh,
plan to
yeah.
escape with her to the top of the tower, where Chi could potentially help them fly down
Alright,
again with the help of the
Chi.
polymorph from Nissa. No, no more.
No,
We're all
We
done.
just said the elementals.
We're all
Okay,
done.
We just said the
We did it,
elementals.
we did it.
Next episode, join us
Next
for
next time. Next time we'll get more done.
Yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
so
I
they make
forget
their
all
way.
kinds of things.
They make their way to the top of the tower, discovering an alchemy workshop, a bunch of poison, and acid, which they assume is like where a whole bunch of wizarding stuff goes on. They
Mhm.
decide to take what they can, and Nissa disguises herself as Zacchus in case they get discovered in the tower. So it uses like disguise self to, or disguise self to disguise herself as Zacchus. They travel up, and the plan goes awry very, very quickly because two upper level students find them and see Zacchus in the tower. And apparently, the culture of this school is very not great, obviously, assuming because Zacchus is the headmaster. They start like beating the shit out of each other with magic to try and impress Zacchus because that's apparently
hell
what
yeah.
happens. And Nissa ends up using mass suggestion on them to get them to go away, just to leave, and like shames them. And as Zacchus is just like, you have disappointed me. You need to go now. And like the students are like, oh my god, and they just like leave. They pass a Zen garden room, which they don't investigate, and make their way up to Zacchus's personal chambers, which are at the very top of the tower. They find a weird like nest-like structure, because he's a bird person. So that's his bed. It's this weird nest-like structure, and they take some spell scrolls, a rare atlas, and some gems, and they find their way to Zacchus's balcony. Via Sending Stone, they confirm where they are with each other. Chi takes Yana, Nissa polymorphs into a giant owl, and they take Neva down as well. And Neva bids farewell with us to go back to get Kamea in the city. We all get down and we meet Chi. We fill each other in on what happened, and Nissa can't shake the feeling that something is off when Zacchus sent Kern and Mira through the teleportation circle. And Neppy casts Sending to Kern. And they're somewhere dry, cracked, desert expanse. They've made a small camp and they're going to go looking for supplies when they find shelter. And they ask us to please help. They're like, we don't know where we are. We see some, a cave that seems to descend down off in the distance, which we now know is the entrance to the scar. And she mentions that they might be on the Earth elemental plane and tells us of the existence of other planes. The Earth plane, which I hate that I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it. Who is the god of the Earth elemental plane?
Get my car, Vroom
Bugatti.
bar. Yeah. Get my
Who's
car,
the
it's
god
Bugatti.
of the airplane?
Akadi, get in my Bugatti, the flying snake.
Who is
The
the
Viper
god of the
disguise.
water plane?
Tisha need a Tisha.
And
Yeah,
who
wet
is the
and wild.
god of the fire plane?
Garrick's with two larynx. Voice like fire.
There we go.
Voice like fire. Screaming
It
brains in my
works.
Bugatti.
It works, Em. It
I
works.
never said it wouldn't work. It doesn't mean it wasn't an exceedingly painful process.
That's a scientific process. This is what progress feels
Yeah.
like.
Sure.
Come
sure.
on, Em.
You know?
If
Progress
you've
is not
been
fast.
on board with this from the beginning, there would have been many times I wouldn't have looked like a complete idiot. With this makes up for it. People
It
are gonna be
does.
like, "Damn, Yanis and Sean were smart with
So
those
smart.
suggestions."
So smart. So
Vroom
we
bar, get in my car. It's a Bugatti of the
so
sky.
we bed down. We bed down for the night. Neppy and Callie are essentially like rocking Jar to sleep because she's like so overwhelmed. Like the trauma of like not being in a crisis situation anymore is hitting her. She's 9. She's just like essentially has cried herself to sleep. And Neppy is just like holding Jar in her lap while she's like just sitting there awake. Jar is passed out in her lap. So it was at this moment that I asked Tim if there was anything I could do about her scars. And Tim was like, you can't heal them because they're already healed. And then I asked him, I was like, what if I use life transference? What if I not to heal her, but to take them from her? So Tim says, yeah, okay, roll for it. So I cast life transference on her, and I think it was Kokenee was kind of off a little bit in the distance, and Callie was Callie was like almost asleep next to her, and so Neppy cast life transference on Jar. I think I used maybe a 3rd or 4th level life transference, and the scars it was almost as if they migrated. So like Neppy was kind of cradling Jar, and they migrated off of Jar's face and her ear and her shoulder, and they transferred up onto like half of Neppy's face, her ear, and most of her neck and shoulder. So Neppy
Does she
took.
still have those?
They'd faded. They faded now. But they were much more prominent at that point because it took 2 rounds of life transference for me to take all of them. And Jar's ear
Jeez.
on that one side still isn't totally pointy, but it is. She doesn't have the scars on her face anymore. So at that moment, like, Kokenee, like, I think Tim was like to Kokenee, what are you doing? He's like, I'm watching this happen. And Neppy and Kokenee lock eyes. And they share this, like, long look with each other. And that, for me, was probably the first moment that Neppy realizes she had some sort of semblance of feelings for Kokenee at that point. Because for me, it was like she wanted Kokenee's company. She's like, I want to talk to him. I want him close by, but I don't have anything to offer him. I'm not coming to him seeking to be a shelter for him in faith or to guide him in any way. I just want him here, and I don't know why. And that was for me a moment where, like, it was a dawning for Emma, where I was just like, oh, what are those? Why does Neppy have feelings for him? She has feelings for him? Okay.
Is this
Now,
where
Matt,
you wanting to have all of your characters that you play get married in their respective campaigns?
No.
Because that's a trend of yours.
No. It, like,
Oh.
Saren had been married in our other campaign, but like, originally in this campaign for Neppy, I had like no relationship aims in mind. This moment for me felt really organic, and it was just like, oh, okay, Neppy craves his company and wants him around more so than the platonicness or the more so of the guidance of faith. I didn't know what
now,
that
Matt,
would turn into at that point, but that's what it was.
I gotta ask you, Matt, did you feel the same, or does Kokenee just never back down from a staring contest?
I have an outstanding answer to this that I'm very excited to share because I haven't shared it for a few episodes because I thought that it'd be better to share it now. Kokenee started falling for Neppy in Shin Kick when they. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes, very clearly.
Your video might be a bit behind, but your audio is just fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, internet issues today. So Kokenee started falling for Neppy in Shin Kick when she helped him pray down in Nissa's lab, and also when they sort of shared those moments outside of it when they were going to bed. But I had mentioned earlier that Matt, as a player, was under very clear understanding that Neppy was like a very asexual character, because that is how Emma had presented her at the very beginning of how we played the game. And so I was like, I think Kokenee is falling for her, and I think that that's not going to work because she's going to be entirely uninterested. But I think that's what he's doing. Like that's what's happening. Because he's never had a relationship like this, and it's deeply interesting and different and special to him. But I, as Matt, as a player, and also Kokenee, were both like, there's no way that Neppy would ever be interested in something like this. So it's just going to be like a little bit of like a sad story, I guess, where like he fell for the person who like couldn't date him and wasn't interested. And like that was what I was preparing to play as a player. I was like, I think that's sort of what's going to be happening here for like the 4 episodes between that and this. And then at this point, I remember Emma at the table being like, Neppy like has a look over at Kokenee for like maybe like a little bit too long. And I, as a player, I'm like, what is happening here? In a way that I was absolutely not expecting.
Yeah.
Kokenee was like oblivious to it because he doesn't really know how to flirt or get signals or anything like that because he's never done it before. But like Matt was like, you for sure said that this was not something that Neppy would be interested in. It was a very quick like change of brain here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is why it's kind of cool for me, because it was just like it was an organic moment for both of us for very different reasons as players, but also for our characters. And then I think you should talk about what Kokenee does next. It's the last bullet point there on the list.
Yeah, so Kokenee sits down and begins to write out in his Bible. He'd started it during the ceremony with Torin, but he takes this moment and sort of prays to Arathis and says, listen, talking to you, what I want to start filling this out with your history, because this is a document that is going to become valuable, and all of that stuff is gone, and I want to see how I can bring it back. And so he starts praying to her, and he gets a vision. And what he sees is a massive flying serpent in the clouds flying around a floating island. Sean, or Yanis, who is this?
That flying viper, man.
That's got to be a
Which
Cotty.
is named
Akadi's
Akadi.
Bugatti, the flying viper.
Yeah, get in my
Amazing.
car.
Well done.
No,
He
you can't bring
sees
getting in my
Arathis.
car is Goombar. Do not
Yeah.
muddy the
Groombar.
waters,
Wait,
Sean.
wait. I thought of a new one for Groombar. Groombar, get in my car, like rubber on the pavement, because he's plane of Earth.
Yeah, but
Like,
you can't
that's what you're riding
bring
on.
get in my car into Akadi.
I mean,
That's muttering the waters of our.
Cotty has a Bugatti.
This isn't
Bugattis
a
are meant to be
poem.
shared.
This isn't
Hold
a
on, hold on.
poem where they're
Let
all
me
part of
get
the
through
same.
Now you know how I feel, Matt. Now you know how I feel.
let me get through the last sentence, and then
now you get to know how we feel. Come, let's shit on Matt. He's
No.
trying to do something.
No.
Come do the sillies.
No.
What was that ice elemental called? There's still time.
No.
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Please let us finish. Jeez.
Okay.
I have notes for this afterwards. Anyway,
Okay.
the Akadi
Yep, Bugatti, get in my car.
is sort of flying around the island, where he sees Kokenee sees Arathis standing on the island during what appears to be an intense moment, lays down her spear. She and the serpent speak, and Arathis begs the serpent to stay out of the combat. Akadi says that she cannot because of her brother. Arathis lets out a sigh, and there's silence. There's a nod of acknowledgement between the two, and Arathis disappears with the vision ending. At the end of the vision, Kokenee continues to transcribing, and he completes about 30 pages of the book of this event.
Damn, 30 pages in one night. It's prolific.
So what do you think this was? What do you think this meeting between Arathis and Akadi was? What do you think it was about?
Well, that's the Dawn War, no?
Yes.
That's the, like, what are we going to do? Because Akadi's like, I got my Bugatti. She's like, please don't fight this. But it's like, my brother Groombar, I got to get in his car. We both have Bugattis. We gotta ride or die.
So in a way, you're not wrong.
You?
So we'll talk about this in a bit, and when we figure out a little bit more about the Dawn War. But essentially, Akadi was the last of the Primordials to join the Dawn War, and she only joined because her brother Groombar did. So she didn't join because she wanted war. She wanted to go and protect her brother. So
Just couldn't stand to see a Bugatti get wrecked.
So
They're
Akadi,
expensive cars.
so Arathis was sent.
You're either in the Bugatti or out of the Bugatti.
Arathis is my
And
last
Akadi's
point.
in the
It's
Bugatti.
my last point. Please. Arathis was sent to try and convince Akadi to not get involved in the war, and she was like,
Arathis
"Please."
can't pass us. I'm in a Bugatti.
You're.
Em, are you a
you're
Disha? Because it looks like you need a Disha.
It's insufferable. Oh my god. So Arathis
Melora to the flora, they hit the gas.
No, Melora to the
I will
flora.
end the
She's
stream
flora
right
as
now.
plants. That's a
please let
way
me
better
get-
one. Em, do you remember when this was fun for you?
Do you remember when this was really fun for me? Do you remember when I had a really nice idea about how about
When
we
you
do a
look
show
forward
about
to
the
this?
lore? Remember when that happened? It's not this time. That's not now.
Vecna, heck yeah, let's Florida. Got a Bugatti.
My friend, the sky.
Viper
I
the
will
sky.
say this. I will say this right now. The second Matt asked you to stop, you did.
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking you, give me 1 second to finish this lore, and then we're ending the episode.
Okay.
So Arathis begged Akkadi to stay out of it. She's like, please don't enter the war. And Akkadi was like, I can't. I have to go in for my brother. And so we'll talk about the ramifications of that in a bit. And we did talk about that in our episode where we went through the Dawn War, the Chatwater episode, which is also in the History and Lore section. But there were big ramifications for Akkadi and all of the Primordials for their involvement in the Dawn War. But Arathis and Akkadi have always had a bond. And that's it. Other than the stuff between Kokenee and Neppy, that's it. I got nothing else. You have depleted me of any lore keeping ability that I have for the day. Gosh dang.
You've kept excellent lore.
Thank you so much.
That is the thing.
I've
Despite
tried.
our best efforts, you've kept it incredibly straight.
Thank you. That's my role here. And I'm very, very committed to my role. That's our show. That's it. That's all I got.